Family, welcome back to the Royal Sussex Squad, your number one place for the truth about Harry and Meghan, free of the lies, smears and tabloid spin that the British media constantly tries to shove down our throats. Now, today's story is juicy, and I know you all are going to love this because it exposes exactly what we've been saying for years. Prince Harry is the one with the charisma, the magnetism, the human touch, while William is increasingly being called out for exactly what he is: dull, miserable, joyless, and utterly out of touch. Now let's start with the big picture. Harry just wrapped up what has been described by many in the media as a turning point visit to the UK. For 4 days, Harry was everywhere, doing charity work, uplifting people, meeting privately with his father, and most importantly, reminding Britain of the Harry they fell in love with in the first place. The compassionate soldier, the cheeky but kind-hearted prince, the man who could walk into any room from a hospital ward to a sports stadium and bring light, laughter and dignity. The old Harry, as some are calling it, was back. And let's be clear that Harry never left. He simply got away from the toxicity of the royal machine that tried to destroy him and his wife. Meanwhile, as Harry shined, William and Kate were visibly struggling. Their coverage during those same days was pitiful. You could almost see them gritting their teeth as Harry stole the spotlight without even trying. All they could do was attempt to tag along, scramble for relevance, and try to ride Harry's coattails. But it didn't work, because charisma can't be faked. People either have it or they don't. And William? Well, even the Daily Mail, yes, the same Mail that has spent years smearing Meghan and Harry, even they are now publishing articles openly calling William dull. A misery guts. Think about that for a second. For years, the British press tried to paint William as this strong, stable, reliable heir. But now the cracks are showing. Even royalists are starting to admit that William is boring, joyless, and stuck in a permanent bad mood. The man who is supposed to be the future of the monarchy, and all people see, is someone who looks like he's inspecting troops when he's supposed to be at a light-hearted event. He can't relax, he can't connect. He can't laugh with people in a genuine way. Even when Kate is standing there beside him, smiling with that overly practiced grin, William looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Now, here's where it gets interesting. According to the likes of Tina Brown, and you know, Tina doesn't say these things lightly, King Charles is actually less irritated with Harry than with William right now. Imagine that. For years, the press has pushed this idea that Harry is the black sheep, the problem child, the one causing tension. But the truth is out. It's William. William with the laziness, William with the tight schedule that barely covers the minimum, William with the bad temper and the reputation for raging at staff. And now even Charles, his own father, is reportedly more annoyed with William than with Harry. And let's talk about Jenny Murray's column in the Mail, because this is where it gets downright comical. She tries to frame the entire thing as though Charles simply enjoys Harry's personality more than William's. That Charles wanted to see Harry because Harry is a breath of fresh air, while William is gloomy and serious. And while, yes, Harry does light up a room in a way William never could, this isn't just about personality. This is about substance. Harry shows up. Harry does the work. Harry has built Invictus Games, Archwell, sustainable travel initiatives, global humanitarian projects, and he does it all with Meghan by his side, building a legacy for their children. Compare that to William. What has he built? What has he created? He's had decades of preparation, staff, taxpayer money and media protection, and yet he's known mostly for copying his brother's ideas, briefing against Harry and Meghan, and hiding behind palace walls. The man has no original vision, no charisma, and increasingly no goodwill from the public. And people are noticing. Now, of course, the Mail had to throw in their usual digs at Meghan. They couldn't help themselves. Jenny Murray claimed Harry is bored in America, only making brief appearances in Meghan's supposedly far from impressive lifestyle show. And let's pause right there. Meghan's lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, has already shaken up the market. Everything she launches sells out instantly. Her products are talked about worldwide. People literally wait on lists to get their hands on them. So don't tell me it's far from impressive. The only unimpressive thing here is the way the British media continues to underestimate Meghan, only for her to prove them wrong time and time again. Then, as if this weren't ridiculous enough, Murray actually suggests that Harry should get on bended knee and apologise to William and Kate. Excuse me? Apologise for what? For telling the truth? For surviving years of abuse and gaslighting? For refusing to stay silent while his wife was hounded to the brink by the same institution that now pretends to care about mental health? The audacity is staggering. The idea that Harry, who has built his own life, his own family and his own platform, should come crawling back on his knees to William, a man who has done nothing but undermine him, is laughable. And then she adds, "Bring in the kids. Let Archie and Lily play with George, Charlotte and Louis." Oh, now they suddenly remember Archie and Lilibet exist? Now, after years of ignoring them, smearing their parents, and even questioning their very existence at times, now suddenly they're desperate for a cousin playdate. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Harry and Meghan have no obligation to expose their children to that toxic environment, especially when the palace and the press have shown zero respect for their privacy or their well-being. Let's not forget, Harry's children are thriving in California. They have stability, love and freedom. Archie and Lily don't need to be paraded around for PR stunts to boost William and Kate's struggling image. Now, family, let me zoom out here because this is bigger than one article. What we're seeing is a shift, a major shift. The British press can no longer ignore the fact that William is dull, miserable and failing to connect. They can no longer deny that Harry's natural charm, his energy, his humanity, is exactly what the monarchy lacks, and exactly what the world still craves. That's why Harry gets standing ovations. That's why Harry is welcomed with cheers wherever he goes. That's why Harry is still one of the most popular royals globally, despite the relentless smear campaign against him and Meghan. And let's be real. Part of the panic is because Harry and Meghan don't need the monarchy. They've proven that. They've built an independent life. They've built a brand that stands on its own, and that terrifies the royal establishment because it exposes just how little William and Kate bring to the table. So, when you see the Mail or any other outlet talking about Harry being charming compared to William, remember, they're admitting, even if accidentally, that William is dull and Harry is magnetic, and that truth is impossible to bury, no matter how many smear campaigns they launch against Meghan or how many staged photos they push of William and Kate looking serious and dutiful. Family, Harry and Meghan are thriving. And as their star continues to rise, the jealousy and desperation from the other side only grows more obvious. Mail. Prince Harry has more charisma than dull, misery, guts Prince William. While most of the royal coverage this week is focused on the Trump state visit to the UK, it's curious to see that some royalists are still focused on what went down last week. Prince Harry spent 4 days in the UK in what now feels like a real turning point. Harry did charity appearances, met privately with his father and received wildly positive coverage in the British media. Concurrent to Harry's visit, Prince William and Kate's coverage could not have been more strained. They looked pitiful as they tried to ride Harry's coattails and/or compete for the attention of the national press. Then Tina Brown pointed out that King Charles is currently less irritated with Harry than he is with William, and that's because of William's laziness and refusal to keep up with a bare-bones public schedule. This situation was made much worse by William's briefing spree following Harry's visit, where William sounded like he was practically having a nervous breakdown over Harry's visit. Well, curiously, the Mail published a column by Jenny Murray in the middle of the Trump state visit about this situation. I know why Charles is said to be less irritated by Harry than William. It's so clear what must change. Some highlights: Harry's visit. It felt like the old Harry was back. I have a feeling he's bored to tears in America, seemingly doing very little apart from making brief appearances in his wife's far from impressive lifestyle show. Things seem to have gone well with his father, and he's managed to keep whatever was said between him and King Charles at their private tea at Clarence House to himself so far. Misery guts William. Compared to the misery guts his older brother William can sometimes be, Harry felt like a breath of fresh air, but clearly not fresh enough to blow away the deep resentment William feels about the way Harry told tales in his memoir, spare personal information that should have remained private. There's no denying Harry crossed the line when he wrote about his family for financial gain, but he has the easy manner and more relaxed attitude to life that is typical of the second child. William the Diligent. William is the conscientious, diligent one who worked hard at school, did well at university and takes his future as king extremely seriously, much as his father did when he was Prince of Wales. Even with his wife smiling supportively beside him, William's smile always seems a little tight. He even managed to make last week's light-hearted visit to the WI look as though he was inspecting troops. Serious and a little dull is William's go-to demeanour. Harry's charm, Harry's visit, may not have convinced William, but it seems to have softened his father. The royal author Tina Brown said last week that Charles is currently less irritated with Harry than with William, and I would argue that, after Harry's burst of cheeriness, Britain is too. Of course, William has had a very tough time as both his father and his wife are suffering from cancer. But as Brown observed, the huge success of Harry's return to the UK is bad news for the Prince of Wales. What should happen next? First, get an apology from the youngest. I'd point out to Harry that he was a fool to say in an interview this weekend that he had no conscience about sharing so many family secrets in spare. It was a huge mistake, and he should admit it. Writers always upset their families if they allow them to be the subject of their work, as I know to my cost. He must beg to visit William and Catherine in person, and on bended knee apologise for all the slights he and Meghan have slung at them. Then he should bring in the kids. I'm sure Archie and Lilibet would be delighted to get to know their cousins, George, Charlotte and Louis. I can imagine Louis at 7 and Archie 6 being as thick as thieves. Then the king must let them both know how much, during his illness, he needs William and Harry. From the Daily Mail. So the headline is, I know why Charles is said to be less irritated by Harry than William. It's so clear what must change. And then she just spends the column talking about Harry's natural charm compared to William's misery and dullness. She's making this about their personalities. Like Charles decided to meet with Harry simply because Harry has charisma and William doesn't. That is not what is behind this, although it's pretty funny that everyone now talks openly about William being dull and miserable. Now talk about how he's lazy and a rageholic too. Now, before I close out, I want to hear from you. What do you think about the way William is now being openly described as dull and a misery guts? Do you think this is the beginning of a bigger media shift against him? And what do you make of the idea that Harry should get on bended knee to apologise? Because to me, it's nothing but wishful thinking from people who can't stand the fact that Harry and Meghan are winning. If you enjoyed today's discussion, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you don't miss our next video, and if you'd like to support this channel, please consider donating through Super Thanks. Every contribution helps us keep spreading the truth about Harry and Meghan and countering the toxic lies of the British press. Thank you for being here, Royal Sussex Squad family. Until next time, stay strong, stay positive, and keep supporting Harry and Meghan.